battled Unicron at the beginning of time. He whose spark formed the basis of all life on Cyber... This is Primus.
We are back with more Mythos about your favorite on-screen robots, the Transformers. This video, however, is not about the standard Transformers characters that we used to see on screen every day on the television show. Today's video is about Primus, the god of the Transformers. He is the first ever Transformer, and it is said that he is the one who created the entire Transformers race. He is also inherently good, and thus is known to be the polar opposite of the evil Unicron. Being the god and creator of the Transformers that we know and love, Primus is an essential entity in the Transformers universe, and here's everything we know about him. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. The backstory of Primus/Unicron explored. The Transformers' creator god is Primus, a multiversal power for good. His life force exists throughout several realities and limitless parallel worlds. Primus is an old and ethereal deity whose origins trace back to the beginnings of the cosmos itself. Some lore suggests that he was created by a mysterious entity called the One. He serves as the universe's last line of defense against Unicron, the Chaos Last-Bringer, his corrupted sibling. The Primus Unicron storyline first appeared in Simon Furman's The Transformers series in Marvel Comics. Over the span of the initial run of the series, the mythos underwent a number of different iterations before taking on its current shape. In the UK short fiction, The Legacy of Unicron from 1988, Unicron himself told the story of the legend of Primus. According to Unicron's version of history, he was an early manifestation of evil who commanded an army of dark gods to battle his mortal enemy, Primus, Lord of the Light Gods. In accordance with Transformers Generation 1, the first conflict between Unicron and Primus occurred after Unicron's attempt to consume the universe was successful. It became clear that he hadn't been careful enough while he dozed off in the void. A few minute pieces of the original world remained and interacted with one another to form the current universe. When Unicron awoke, the cosmos had expanded around him. Instead of questioning this, he simply started consuming the universe once more. To combat Unicron, the intelligent center of the cosmos created Primus, a guardian. Due to the intensity of their conflicts, which caused the newborn world to tremble and quake, Primus was eventually compelled to take a desperate risk. He moved the dispute to the astral world, where he did not fare any better, and then brought them back to the physical universe. However, he imprisoned Unicron and himself within two metallic asteroids rather than allowing them to manifest in their energy forms. By enclosing both of Unicron's opponents in asteroids on the physical plane, Primus had successfully conquered Unicron at the beginning of time. Although, this was not for long. Using psionic force, Unicron transformed his asteroid first into a giant metal world and then into a gigantic robot. His quest since then has remained to defeat his brother. However, Primus took a different route. Prior to developing the Transformer species and endowing them with a piece of his divine soul via the Matrix of Leadership, Primus first transformed his own body into the planet, which would go on to become the Transformers' home planet, Cybertron. Wondering why he would turn himself into a planet? Well, being brothers comes with its own share of unique abilities, and apparently Unicron and Primus share a mental or psychic bond which allows them to detect each other's presence no matter where in the universe the other is. Hence, to be able to make his robot creations and allow them to flourish in peace, he transformed himself into the planet Cybertron. This allowed him to veil his life essence from his brother, and thus he managed to effectively hide himself and his creation from the god of chaos. Further, unluckily, Unicron was more powerful than Primus. Primus thus produced the 13 original Primes, led by Prima, in order to get the upper hand against his brother and keep his evil schemes in check. Primus is more of a philosophical idea than a character in this original story. He is essentially Unicron's opposite, serving to explain the origin of the Transformers and the purpose of the Matrix, while also providing Unicron with a driving force for his evil deeds and attacks against the Transformers, especially the Autobots. The enormous computer Vector Sigma, located deep within Cybertron, functions as its own mainframe and a portal via which a few chosen Transformers can access his power. His life force is partially contained in the Matrix, which frequently chooses the Autobots' leader. He also put in writing in his Holy Covenant prophecies of a future conflict with regard to his Transformers race. Each Transformer spark is thus a little fragment of Primus's essence. Combined, they make up the Allspark, which is Primus's life force. Thus, although Primus is physically located in Cybertron's core, his life power is contained within the Allspark, and the supercomputer Vector Sigma, which is also situated on Cybertron, can be used to access his control systems. It must be noted that even though Primus was the one who founded the race of Transformers, not all of them acknowledge his existence. In fact, Primus and Unicron are referred to as myths and legends by some. However, this could be because they don't show up in the regular stories that often, leading many Transformers to believe that they are simply parts of their planet's legend and history. His story arc in Transformers Cybertron. In Transformers Cybertron, it is revealed that Primus came back to Cybertron after Megatron's tampering caused the Energon sun to disintegrate into a black hole. He was the one who developed the Cyberplanet keys, which were used by Optimus Prime to defeat Megatron and awaken him. He disclosed the fundamental nature of the black hole that threatened Cybertron and ultimately the entire universe as a disturbance of the natural order and equilibrium of the cosmos brought on by the collapse of the Energon sun by using Mini-Con Jolt as a conduit.
Maintain the balance until all are one.
Primus regrettably became weaker as Starscream grabbed the majority of his spark power. To regain true consciousness, he required all of the Cyberplanet keys. Primus shocked everyone when he abruptly moved his hand and wielded his weaponry, even with 3 keys. Primus further attempted to stop the black hole from expanding when the Autobots arrived at Giganteon, the giant planet, so they could find the final key. Primus, however, battled an even bigger Starscream. While the Autobots looked for Giganteon, Primus stopped the black hole from growing. He had all of his spark returned to him when the Omega Lock and Planet Keys were reconnected with him, which made him powerful once more. He utilized the main cannon of the Ark to smash the black hole. Primus then turns back into Cybertron with joy, transforming himself into a healthier environment to live for both Transformers and humans. He sees this as the ultimate triumph for him and the Autobots. Primus has also been transformed into a toy for the Cybertron toy line. Images of the toy's initial appearance in both planet and robot mode have appeared on a number of websites, and its initial release date that was set for 2006. Since the unveiling of the toy, there has been a strong implication that there will be a change between the American and Japanese figurines that would make fans want to buy both versions. That modification was just made public. Initially, the American release of Primus will feature a sculpt of Unicron's battle-damaged head. The toy had no significant differences from the Japanese edition, despite the addition of the Unicron head component. The box itself, which was created to resemble the style and layout of a G1 toy box, was the only element that was special to the Japanese edition. What was Primus like? Primus was a creation of the Marvel Comics, hence he was never referenced in the original G1 animation. Before their souls were tied to planets, we met him and his brother Unicron in their natural human, or at least humanoid forms. Primus looked like Rodimus Prime, which made perfect sense as he was the bearer of the Matrix at the moment and consequently Primus's avatar. He has often been referred to as a metal giant and is definitely quite scary to look at. Unicron looked like a blue-skinned version of the Transformer he would go on to become. Although Primus's personality is unknown, it is assumed that it is completely different from Unicron's since they are pretty much the antithesis of each other. Primus is praised by many for being extremely intelligent and kind. Depending on if Primus makes a vocal sound, he may or may not speak like his twin brother Unicron, although he is not known to talk much in general. As far as his creations, the Transformers are concerned, Primus is a god who gives them life. Ratchet is one of many Cybertronians who talks with Primus about how he gave them life. In fact, in Beast Wars and some of the animated properties that were released after the Marvel Comics Origins came out, Primus was often referred to as God and Savior. Although Primus never speaks in most episodes, we see him in flashbacks. Primus was visible in Predacons Rising as Optimus entered into the core to unite with him. The core of Cybertron is Primus and the core of Earth is Unicron. We also know that Unicron and Primus were never close as brothers. Since they are polar opposites, they frequently battle, and while Unicron is pure evil, Primus is pure good. Thus, he is an all-knowing good entity that strives to preserve the universe and combat evil. Primus is unmatched in wisdom and might, but he is neither perfect nor without flaws. He has occasionally been duped by ordinary mortals, committed mistakes that put the entirety of existence in danger, and been forsaken by one of his first creations. In fact, even the Transformers, who were supposed to be the executioners of his grand scheme, have far too often been drawn into never-ending civil strife. Nevertheless, in most worlds, he has been able to repel Unicron and other dangers, either personally or through his countless offspring. Some lesser known facts about Primus. Keeping aside all that we already know about him, here are some cool facts about Primus. Fact number 1. Omnipresence. Facts about Primus often intertwine with those about Unicron. It is interesting to note that Unicron and his presence are limited to only one dimension at a time, but Primus is able to exist in numerous dimensions simultaneously. This was primarily the idea put forward in the comics, which portrayed Primus as an ever-present entity across all dimensions and realities, making him omnipresent in all worlds, timelines, and realities as a singular being that oversaw them all. At first, it was said that it was the same Primus that existed in all the dimensions and realities, but later it was changed with the idea being that each reality and dimension had its own separate version of Primus. Fact number 2, first ever Transformer. By now we all know that as far as Primus's lore is concerned, he is the one that created all the Transformers. Thus, it only makes sense that he was the first ever Transformer himself. The first creatures to develop the capacity to change and transform into the weapons of war and destruction that we often see in the movies were Primus and Unicron. His twin brother, Unicron, was able to transform between a big robot form and a giant planet form, but Primus himself could switch between a giant robot form, a huge world ship, and a giant planet form or Cybertron. Primus thus has the ability to change between planet, robot, battle station, and spaceship modes, which have often been reflected in the Primus toys. Fact number 3, his twin's blood can incapacitate him. Apparently, Unicron's blood is harmful for Primus. This is further testament to the complex yet bonded relationship that the two share. One time, Megatron poisoned Cybertron's core with dark energon, or Unicron's blood. This was extremely deadly and ended up killing the planet and resulted in Primus falling into a profound sleep. Primus, the supremely powerful being. Primus has pretty much the same power as Unicron. It has been demonstrated that he was able to materialize pure energon and even created 3 other species using only the power of his intent. He is supposed to have a form of pure energy similar to that of Unicron's and the ability to shed his physical body, which Optimus said he already does. He most likely has whatever influence over energon and Cybertron that Unicron does over dark energon and Earth. Similar to Unicron's use of dark energon, he has the power to send knowledge straight to another person's head as long as energon is flowing through them. He has an extremely long list of powers. Considering the fact that he is literally a god, this is definitely not surprising. He obviously possesses the basics such as having infinite strength, stamina, and speed. He is literally faster than light. He is also pretty much immortal and ageless, along with practically being invulnerable. He could also make use of telepathy and is able to manipulate energy. Being an omnipresent god, he has cosmic awareness and is able to manipulate both space and time to a certain degree. He could also warp reality to a certain extent. As far as his offensive and combat capabilities go, he is a good swordsman and he is also able to fly. He is highly durable and has a destructive capacity on a multiversal level, meaning that he could literally destroy universes if he wants to. He has nearly unlimited amounts of cosmic power, which afford him this insane destructive capacity. Thankfully, he is an inherently good entity and thus uses all of his powers for good. His destructive capacity can destroy universes if it ever falls into the wrong hands. He also has an incredible healing factor, which allows him to heal super fast from an injury that he may sustain in battle. This also allows him to maintain his eternal youth since he is constantly regenerating. He also has the power to teleport, travel between dimensions, and manipulate transcendental energy. Primus, who is represented by the matrix of leadership in Vector Sigma, may actually be the smartest being in all of existence. Hence, it can be said that he has godly wisdom. As a deity, Primus doesn't need a physical body and mostly resides in the astral realm, where he has control over strength that is unfathomable to humans. Optimus Prime was reunited with Primus when Optimus Prime entered the core to support and maintain life on Cybertron. He was illuminated as he moved more into the core. Millions of sparks erupted from the well as a result, giving Primus a chance to revive the dead. Primus, like Unicron, probably has the power to bring the dead back to life, like Optimus did in Robots in Disguise when he momentarily revived to battle Underbite and communicate with Bumblebee and his crew. Additionally, Primus may be the subject of Optimus's claim that the universe has intentions for him in the future. Last but not least, Primus has taken on many different physical forms throughout the multiverse, most frequently as the planet Cybertron. If Primus were to emerge from his sleep, Cybertron could change into a massive humanoid robot with Unicron-like strength. Thus, Primus is extremely powerful. However, in comparison to Unicron, he has fallen short on many occasions. While an ordinary Transformer will not be able to defeat or kill him in most circumstances, facing Unicron is always a tough battle for him. Why was he absent in the Transformers movies? It is actually quite unfortunate that we have not seen Primus in any of the Transformers movies at all. He is often described as a metal behemoth when in his robotic form, and if comic books and concept art are to be trusted in the face of a possible movie adaptation, it is no doubt that Primus would make for some badass movie. However, it is well known by now that Michael Bay went in a completely different direction with regard to the Transformers origin story. He went ahead with the Quintessence Origins. The Quintessence Origins holds that the planet Cybertron, which was initially nothing more than a massive factory, was constructed by the Quintessence, who also created the entire Transformers race. The Decepticons served as their master's gladiators for entertainment, while they built the Autobots as dedicated workers and servants. Since this is largely the understanding behind the creation of the Transformers as far as the movies are concerned, it makes sense that Primus has not shown up in them despite the Allspark literally being his life essence. The movies cannot possibly hold both origin stories as true at the same time unless they find a way to cleverly spin it. One direction that can be taken that explains the presence of both the Quintessence and Primus is that while Primus created the Transformers and fell into a deep slumber, the Quintessence arrived on Cybertron, enslaved the Transformers, and history panned out as we know it. Primus has thus been around for a long time and has a rich history. He is revered by Transformers and they pretty much owe their entire existence to him. Being a god, only Unicron poses a threat to him, which shows that he is extremely powerful as well. What do you think about Primus? Is he simply an ancient god who doesn't add much to the Transformers universe and story? Or do you think that he has the potential as far as the movies are concerned? Tell us in the comments section below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.